Good afternoon. We are about to go live now and welcome all who have joined us for this very important conversation today regarding community organizing and working as a change agent for social justice and social change. Welcome and to the Empowered for Change channel. I am Deborah Gilbert White, also known as Dr. D, your host. And here we celebrate and encourage people who are and who seek to make a difference in the world. We also explore and better understand how one's life's journey can prepare you for your life's purpose. And so today we welcome Shyanne Miller and Kirsten Walther, two young women working in community in Delaware for social justice and social change. And so I'm going to read their bios, short bios, so that we'll know who's in the room and as we continue. First, I'm going to read Shyanne Miller. Okay, Shyanne Miller is a Black African American woman born and raised in Wilmington, Delaware. Shyanne Miller earned her bachelor's degree in wildlife conservation from the University of Delaware and her master's in sustainable development from SIT Graduate Institute. She specializes in policy advocacy and community organizing. Currently, she is the Progressive Governance Director for Delaware Working Families Party. She also serves as campaign manager for the Building People Power campaign at the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League. She is a core team member of the Delaware HOMES Campaign and a volunteer with Network Delaware. She focuses on fighting racism through reforming the criminal justice system and promoting democratic economic justice. Cheyenne's passion is to support anti-racist efforts by building the ability of all community members, regardless of race, gender, age, ability, or experience, to participate in the political process in order to promote social justice. Okay, next we're going to read Kirsten's bio. Okay, Kirsten lives in Wilmington and started volunteering with Network Delaware in 2017. During her time as a volunteer, she worked on several programs within the organization, including the Restorative Schools Campaign, Safe Communities Campaign, People's Congress, and the Network Delaware Planning Team. She initially joined the Network Delaware staff in 2021 as the Newcastle County organizer, where she managed volunteer recruitment, support, and skilled-based trainings. She also developed and oversaw Network Delaware's Social Change Summit, a gathering of over 100 change makers from across the state. She currently serves as Network Delaware's project coach, where she supports activists in developing, launching, and improving their social change projects and issue campaigns. Prior to joining the Network Delaware team, Kirsten worked on several electoral campaigns, both as volunteer coordinator and campaign manager. She currently sits on the Delaware Working Families Party state committee. Kirsten is passionate about Network Delaware's mission to support more people in getting involved in the political process, and hopes to use her position to build the capacity of regular people to strategize, connect, and fight for the change they need in their lives. Hello, my friends, and welcome. The three of us have connected.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you. The three of us have connected through our advocacy work across the state in community in Delaware. And we have been supportive of each other in various ways on issues. On a personal level, what brought you to change work? And is there a particular moment when you knew it was your calling to make a difference? And either one of you can go first.
Sure. I'm not sure if Shyanne is. Oh, she's coming back.
Yeah, I just brought it back in. Okay, there we go.
Nice. Yeah, I can go first while Cheyenne's getting settled. So for me, I am not someone who grew up in an organizing family or knew what community organizing was. I was working an admin job before hearing about Network Delaware and just kind of seeing the result of politics as it was harming the people around me's lives. My friends couldn't afford rent. My coworkers weren't able to get the healthcare they needed. And but I didn't really see myself as having the ability to make change. I just thought like politics was done to me. It's not something I actively participate in. But early in on the first Trump term, when I think a lot of people were getting engaged for the first time, I think I was at my job looking at a blog that I had found, a local blog, and they mentioned that a new organization was launching called Network Delaware. So I signed up to get their newsletter. A few months later, I ended up having a meeting with Drew Saras, who was and is the executive director of Network Delaware. I wasn't really looking to get involved, but I just figured, well, maybe this is someone I can commiserate with, like all of these bad things happening in the world right now at the federal level. And, it'll be nice to meet someone with similar values.
Yes.
But I showed up and I started just kind of like unloading all of these things around me when he asked, what do you care about? I said, oh, well, like I'm so sick of like people that I care about not being able to access healthcare, not being guaranteed housing. Like, I don't understand why all of these basic needs aren't decommodified by our society. And I'm thinking like, oh, he's going to, think it's too radical, or he's going to politely say, oh, okay, that's interesting. But in that moment, he asked me, well, what do you think the resources or what things will we need to gather to take the first steps to changing these conditions that you're talking about? And I don't know what it was, but in that moment, I had never seen myself as like having agency before to fight these big issues. And he gave me permission to sort of see myself as someone who could make change in that moment. That's really when I went from seeing politics as something done to me to something that I can participate in, the change I can make rather than just the change that's done to me. And it changed my life. It shifted my framework. It helped me build relationships with other people in Delaware and nationally even. So that was just that specific moment is something I will never forget as really shifting the trajectory of my life.
Yes, yes. And how about you, Cheyenne?
A little internet issues.
Okay. Do you want me to repeat
Can you
the
guys hear
question?
me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yes, we can.
It's cutting out. Yeah, if you can repeat it, and then hopefully you guys can
Okay.
hear me clearly. Okay, good. Because
Not
it's
a
going in and
problem.
out on my side. So.
Okay, I've been there before. I understand. On a personal level, what brought you to change work? And is there a particular moment when you knew it was your calling to make a difference?
I would say I guess, I also did not like start off doing a lot of activism work. I wasn't a very outgoing person. And frankly, I didn't like doing any type of teamwork. And so I just wasn't like my personality is not any type of organizing work or social justice or anything. Found an interest in the idea that maybe if we change the way some of our government systems work, some of our policies, some of the laws, the way that we distribute resources, maybe we can solve some of these big issues we're facing. And what I found was that there was a lot of resistance to like the idea that we should have some solutions for people to be able to live well, to be able to survive, to be able to thrive, hopefully. And there was also a lot of experience that I had where there was just like overt racism and time, and that we should not be experiencing overt racism. We were past that. And I learned very quickly that that wasn't the case. And so I got a little radicalized when I was in college. And then I went to grad school and it threw me off. I was down into click once I got involved with Network Delaware. And sorry, I can't tell if you guys can still hear me or not, but
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
okay, cool. So like I had been involved with a lot of different groups prior around in different spaces in Delaware with different groups that were focused on different aspects of social change. Some were focused on diversity and making sure that, you know, people of color were included in spaces and projects and systems. Some were focused on just understanding what white supremacy is and how to dismantle racism and understanding critical race theory. And then there was like no group that was really focused on how you get people involved with the work. And I would say like it wasn't until Network Delaware kind of launched and I went to a couple of their trainings that I started to realize that like, oh, there's an actual niche of specifically getting people to be involved. Because at that point in my life, I had like made a decision or at least come to an understanding that nonprofits weren't going to save us, right? Like lobbyists weren't going to save us. Frankly, even money wasn't going to save us. Like it was going to have to be like revolution and people. And so once I was able to get into a space where we actually talked about the word for solutions for whatever it is that we're trying to solve, and that like, yes, we can do policy focused stuff, but if we don't do our work as a community and we don't like move with community organizing, like teachings in mind, then we won't be able to get anywhere. So that's where my head's been. That's how I got involved with the work. I got radicalized by Network Delaware.
I think we all have that connection to Network Delaware because I've been connected to Network Delaware and over the years as well. And then I met you in Community Shyanne when we're doing the Summit on Housing at the library, the Wilmington Library. So, you know, just like all these different connections and different groups, like you said, we all are working, you know, on the major goal of really is bringing about social justice and social change in so many important and imperative issues that face our different communities and some of the same issues across communities. In the Change Agent Guidebook that I received, that was issued by Network Delaware in 2022, there is the following quote by James Baldwin, and it says, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." What key lesson has your experience as a change agent taught you about getting people involved and in addressing community issues?
Yeah, what I love about that quote is that it really speaks to the importance in, I think, all of our work of basically like trusting the process and knowing that this is something like injustice, white supremacy, like these are misogyny. These are things that like have existed long before we were born, and well, I hope will be dismantled in our lifetimes, but you know, the odds might be stacked against us and completely reshaping society before our time is up on Earth. But yeah, I think that it is important to, as like an organizer, approach the work by not accepting fixed structures of power, by not accepting the way things are and the current allocation of resources. Something that I think in a lot of, I don't know, I'll say like professional nonprofit spaces or even among like liberal Democrats is this sense that there are just fixed things that we can't get around. You know, the current allocation of power is just how it is and we can't change it, rather than seeing power as a relative thing that can be built or can be weakened. And it's something to strategize around rather than something to mean that you have to play within the current like the current system basically, and just like stick to the inside game to make change. So for me, that quote, it really speaks to this, the importance for community organizers to remember that things like resources and power are relative, and that strategy is how we change the balance of getting like what we need to be able to fight for the change that we want to see.
Shyanne.
Hopefully I answered the question when I say this, because it's kind of in response and in thought with kind of what Kirsten was saying. I mean, and what I was thinking about earlier was like, I think it's so easy in this work and this movement to seek out validation from either our peers or from existing institutions so that we can get things done. And I'm talking about this in the form of a nonprofit, you know, wanting to solve hunger or solve some.
Okay, looks like Shyanne is frozen. Yeah. See if she'll come back.
And the fact that we're going to have to start to face the truth of there are no real sanctioned ways for us to do organizing work. But and I think the way, frankly, but I think the important thing to note is that we're in an era where the government and the rest of the world are for you to be able to go ahead and do what looks like organizing work that doesn't actually turn out to be organizing head on and be real. From the government, there's not going to be permission from these institutions to change them. The harder it will be for us to work. I just think it's important to say one of the lessons that we should be taking away from, I think, both that quote, but also in general, like this work in general, is that like we are going to have to find ways to do this work outside of nonprofit structures. We're going to have to find ways to do it outside of these, what I call sanctioned institutions that the government recognizes and will allow to do the work of social change or of changing, you know, policies or whatever. And we're going to also have to recognize that you just said, Kirsten, about knowing your power, knowing what your policy advocacy director position at a nonprofit. You just won't hear those types of tools are hired. You know, we're professional activists, and I think from these institutions, like it's not going to come from political parties. It's not going to come from these sanctioned institutions. I hope that answered the question, because I missed part of the question, but you made me think of that, and that's where my head went.
Yeah, you were going in and out, but you did say some things that I think we were able to capture. I was just thinking and looking at both of you, and one of the things that I find myself being encouraged by young people, young women who are doing this work and have a focus on change. And so, as a person who fell into this mainly because of the issue of homelessness, but had been doing anti-racism work before then. But my real advocacy came in community around having the lived experience of homelessness, and then connecting community with Shyanne and a few other folks there in Delaware, knowing that we need young people like yourself to continue to give us that energy, to bring the energy, you know, to look at new ways of doing things. I know that for many people in my generation, the issue, you know, we would, you know, pray about things as people of faith. We would, you know, vote, you know, knew the power of the vote, but actually getting out in community and actually becoming the change agent. becoming the person that was advocating on these issues in the ways that we are doing here, that the two of you are doing in Delaware, is really hopeful for the future. And so I know it's important, that quote, we have to be able to face it. And oftentimes some of people don't want to face what is happening. We turn a blind eye to the issues. And so just thank you for what you are doing. I know that this past weekend that you had the the social change summit, and
Yes.
yeah, and so I've been looking at the pictures. I had planned to be there, but couldn't for personal reasons. But I am interested to hear more about what why do you continue to do this? Please share what is the importance of this event, because it is a change maker.
Yes, yes. So this was our third annual Social Change Summit. And the first year would have been 2023, and maybe December of 2022 or so, I had a conversation with Drew at Network Delaware, and we were both kind of interested in putting on some kind of big statewide gathering of people who were involved in what we call the social change ecosystem, which when I say social change ecosystem, I mean anyone who is fighting for some kind of like righteous change in Delaware. So that includes people who are fighting for that change in the policy sphere, doing the inside outside game by working with elected officials who are involved in more kind of high level narrative and comms based work, who are doing the base building, who are capacity building and doing like development of other leaders. So anyone who's kind of touching any of those areas of work in Delaware, we wanted to bring together. And so the first year we were really focused on, okay, well, how can we do this differently than other gatherings? What do people want? How can we, what are the objectives we want to create out of this? So it's not just a day of getting to meet lots of new, cool, exciting people and hear about their work, but what do we want to happen out of that? And it was that we wanted people new folks to find this approachable and inclusive and accessible, and to not feel like they're just getting a lot of organizer jargon thrown at them. We wanted to show people models of how being involved can look in Delaware, and different models, because people they care about different causes and they want to do different types of work. So we wanted to showcase different ways that people can be involved. And we wanted to facilitate connections the way an organizer would as they're building campaigns, where they want to bring people together who are impacted by an issue and identify where their values are aligned, but also where they're different, and what resources one person might have that another needs, and how they might be able to work together. So this was kind of the vision going into the first year, and I was really happy. I felt like we got great feedback from people, that they made lots of good connections. Folks were exposed to new ways of thinking about the social change ecosystem. They were giving us that feedback, and we've continued to host it. And Cheyenne's been there every year, has participated as a panelist, as a breakout facilitator, moderator, etc. But yeah, I don't know, Shyanne, how's your summit experience been these past few years?
It's been really good. I mean, I think every year it gets better, because I always meet more new people each year. And I go to more conferences. Well, not now as much as I used to, but I've been to a lot of conferences, day-long conferences, and week-long conferences. And I'll say that is actually one of the things that I dislike the most about most conferences, is you get in there and you feel like everyone is just hobnobbing for fun, and you're networking, but it doesn't feel as personal. You're not really making connections with people, and you really are having conversations, but they're so broad and they're so big that whatever workshop discussion you're having, you're gonna come back and be wait, how does this apply? How does this apply to my context? And the good thing about these are, you have people that are like literally from your neighborhood, like literally, like I drove down to the summit with like 4 other people in my car that were from my neighborhood, like from Wilmington. And we all participated in workshops where we were talking to other people from Delaware that were like living the thing that they were trying to work out. Like they were dealing within Delaware. And we were talking about scenarios that like we had some familiarity with because, you know, we're all here in Delaware. And like, I think network
I think we may have lost Shyanne. I think we may have lost her for good here.
provide.
Oh no. Oh, she's back.
Okay, you're back, Shyanne.
Like,
you were going for a moment there. Wow. Okay. I think one of the things that I have wanted to ask Shyanne, and I guess I can also, from my perspective as well, was because we wear many different hats as part of Network Delaware. You know, we wear many different hats, and I know that Shyanne works with the Working Families Party and also with Delaware HOMES Campaign. And I would like to say from my experience of going, you know, coming to the meetings, we have to issue campaign meetings and actually meeting when Network Delaware facilitates those times for us. Knowing all the different issues that are happening and all the different groups that are working on different things around the community and across the state. And so in that way, I think that you do an excellent job in connecting folks and people becoming aware and being educated about the various issues that impact people living in Delaware. And I was wondering, coming out of this last conference, were there any issues that were raised that Network Delaware has not been looking at in the recent years? Were there new voices saying that this is something that we need to work on across the state?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the model with Network Delaware, the issue campaigns we support come from members and volunteers. So we don't necessarily like have a set agenda as long as a volunteer is going to be fighting for some kind of like justice and equity. We will support and coach them as they like build their team and help them put together their action plan and provide support along the way. So yeah, I think we definitely had some folks talk about interest in some federal issues. Obviously, there's like gaps with federal funding that people have raised wanting to address at the state level. And there were some new folks who were interested in who had brought up like women's rights, so there is a Trans Refuge Now campaign that Network Delaware coaches that is fighting for protections for trans folks, but we don't like. There isn't like a broader LGBTQ campaign, which someone else had mentioned. And I know like with rent stabilization, we do have the Homes Campaign, which is doing incredible work. So that did get brought up. So yeah, there were certainly people who had a bunch of different issues that they were interested in, like different causes. So I know even before the summit, something that we didn't have a campaign around immigrant justice. And it kind of was just, it happened that there were like 3 groups of people who kind of concurrently decided that like, oh, I think I want to step up and do something. So we have this working group now that's kind of focused on a couple different key areas around immigrant justice. And yeah, so I guess that's a long answer to say, yeah, some folks were interested in different issues. With the Network Delaware model, like the campaigns come out of the volunteers and the members and people that we're working with rather than like top down. However, that actually kind of goes into a different thought that I've been having, which is that like we don't necessarily have that kind of organization in the Delaware ecosystem of a group that is like more proactively setting an agenda and working to like build campaigns around that agenda. And, you know, there's pros and cons to the different approaches, but yeah, I do think that long-term that would be a useful piece in the social change ecosystem to have that organization that's like setting that clearer agenda.
I guess it goes back to something that Shyanne has said earlier about, you know, having different ways of approaching the issues and different groups, you know. And so I think the beauty of Network Delaware, from what my experience has been, is that the way it is set up, that people can come together who are, you know, members of different groups and organizations, but we connect around all these different issues and we're able to support each other in different ways, or in the ways that are needed from what we bring from our experience. So yeah, you know, I think you're doing good. Kirsten, you're doing good, and the group is doing good, and it continues to grow. And I'm looking forward to being able to attend number 4, you know, the Change Summit.
Yes.
Number 4. You know, I'm looking forward to that. Has
We
a
would
date
love
been,
to have you.
Yeah, has a date been set for that?
I don't, not officially. I think we're looking at the tentatively the last Saturday in July, I believe, but we'll probably announce it maybe in like 5 or 6 months for sure. I will definitely keep you posted though.
That'd be great. Yeah, Shyanne just sent a note saying that she's having trouble reconnecting. So I'll just ask another final question here, and we'll probably have to close down a little bit earlier than we expected. But is there a question that I haven't asked you that you would like to answer?
Question I would like to answer.
Yeah, something that I have not asked you connected to, you know, organizing and the work that Network Delaware does that I have not answered that you wish I had asked you.
Yeah. Well, I guess I would like to talk about so you had just alluded to like Network Delaware providing space for different members of different issue campaigns to come together and connect with each other. So yeah, maybe if I could talk a little more about how that process has evolved and some ideas that I've had and have, you know, gotten also from some members of other campaigns, because this is kind of, it's work that I've been doing for the better part of the year, and am excited to continue into the rest of the year.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, we the issue campaigns are, as like the project coach with Network Delaware, that's kind of the area of Network Delaware that I work with most closely. And maybe 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, I took a first stab at wanting to have Network Delaware provide more support to the different issue campaigns. And we had maybe like 3 or 4 campaigns at this point. And so I kind of went in and was like, okay, I'm going to build a coordinator support group. I had kind of gotten feedback from the various issue campaign coordinators about like what they needed, what support they needed, but we ended up starting these monthly sessions and had okay attendance for a few months, and then it really died off. And it wasn't until like pretty recently that I was taking a class, an organizing class, and was reflecting on like why didn't it work that time, and kind of realized like, oh, I didn't get the buy-in of the coordinators. It wasn't like a leadership team where there was mutual accountability and there was mutual alignment around like our values and like why we were interested in this. I was kind of just like pushing that. So that was a big learning moment for me. And something that we started earlier this year was we restarted the issue campaign coordinator support meetings after actually like doing a lot of one-on-one conversations and seeing if there was buy-in and like how we would set the norms around the team and like how it would be a space for peer learning, not just like me being the coordinator. So something that I've really been working on is like kind of structuring that team more like a campaign, like the leadership team of a campaign, rather than just like a space for people to drop in and like get a service provided to them, basically. And so that's kind of, turning the base of coordinators into their own leadership team and building in more peer learning and accountability. And I think that has been like hopefully useful for the individual campaigns. But something that, as we look ahead, like that I have again been talking with people on the various campaigns and like am trying to kind of build with them a space for more learning, not just among the coordinators, but among the team members, because I do think sometimes that it can feel a little bit siloed, and there are just so many amazing experiences and lessons learned and resources that live within like individual volunteers in all of these different campaigns. And also, I think from what I've heard from talking to folks is like interest to support the other campaigns. Like there's people in Trans Refuge Now who really care about housing as a human right. And there are people in Earth Stewards who really care about the rights and protections of trans people, et cetera. So I'm really excited. We're having a all campaign team meeting on this Thursday, the 24th, and are hoping to develop out of that peer learning groups for people from different issue campaigns. I think we're going to be continuing to like work with the members of different campaigns to create these spaces for like peer learning and for building resources and being able to deploy resources as a collective as well. So yeah, that's something that I'm really excited about, because I think that the terrain we're organizing on is different now. There's, there are stronger campaigns, there are more campaigns, there's more buy-in from members. There's a better understanding of the political landscape, which will help us like together strategize more effectively. So yeah, it's, a work in progress, but and hopefully this isn't too like insider baseball-y, because I can kind of get in my head when I'm like thinking about this constantly and talking a little too much jargon. But yeah, I'm really excited for the growth of like our issue campaigns working together.
I think that you're doing just great. I think what I would like to do, if you could name some of the campaigns or the campaigns that are under the Network Delaware umbrella, and when we put this live, this conversation live, we will have information about linking to Network Delaware and how people can join Network Delaware. But if you can lift some of the campaigns, I know this is Delaware HOMES Campaign. I'm a member of that one. We know what we do.
Yes.
So what are the other campaigns that our listeners and viewers can know about?
Yeah, so Black Mothers in Power was one of our earliest campaigns. I don't believe they have any policy like demand efforts going right now. They've pivoted a bit in the past few years, but they were one of our first. The HOMES campaign, of course. The campaign to end debtors prison is focused on fines and fees in our court system, as they disproportionately hurt low-income folks. Earth Stewards is actually launching this Saturday. It's going to be an environmentally focused campaign that also is about like resource sharing and helping folks to work as a community to like be sufficient. Let's see, that's 3. Campaign to end at 4. So Everybody Can Move is a campaign around like ensuring that insurance companies will cover different types of prosthetic limbs. And Everybody Counts is a campaign that's fighting to ban body size discrimination through legislation. Trans Refuge Now is focused on protecting the rights of trans people here in Delaware. And then No Cap, Neighbors Organizing for Credibility Around Policing, is focused on police transparency and accountability here in the state. And I believe those are all the campaigns. 8,
Listen.
I think I named 8.
That's a whole lot there, and all of them are very important issues and things that we need to get in community behind to further the missions of all of those campaigns. And so I want to take this opportunity now just to thank you, Kirsten, for being with us, and want to thank Shyanne in her app. Okay. Okay, she just showed up again. Okay, we'll try it again.
Coming in now.
Okay, yeah. I was getting ready to close this down, and then you popped up. I'm glad you popped up because I wanted to give you this final question as well. There, from all the questions I have asked, and some of you've missed, but it's okay. What we want to know is, what is there a question? Is there a question that I have not asked that you would like to answer about your work?
Say that last part.
Yeah, is there a question that I have not asked that you would
thing-
like to answer?
One thing you would like to. That's a hard question.
Said the same thing.
I like maybe the stuff that if you're doing community organizing work, you just don't know it's coming until it comes, or you don't know how to handle it. You know it's gonna come even, but you don't know how to handle it maybe. Like they don't volunteer recruitment and to get people to do this work for free, or how delegation is really hard. And it's probably like the hardest thing I've ever had to do, because it's not natural for me to delegate work. I'm an independent person, and I know a lot of leaders tend to want to shoulder it and do the work by themselves without having any delegation, but you can't do organizing work without giving tasks out to other people. Mm-hmm. Or the fact that like if you are delegating work, you are going to have to worry about that work not getting done on your timeline, and that all the work doesn't get done on your timeline. There's just a lot of like unknowns about like when you get into the work of organizing that it's not the activist looking thing in front of a microphone. Just lots of little things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The details. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you
it's
both.
Just fundamentally about relationship. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr.
No,
Go
ahead.
I got so excited when Shyanne was talking because I was just thinking like, yeah, they don't tell you that it's like fundamentally about building personal relationships, that like the delegation comes from trust, from you building a relationship with someone, or conflict, like interorganizational conflict. You have to have good interpersonal skills and be able to resolve that. That like so much of the work is not flashy, as Shyanne said. It's just about like learning to talk to people and to work with people and to build trust with people. And the good news is like that everyone can do that. It's a skill, like it's not a specialty skill that, is only accessible to people with a certain degree of education or life experiences. But on the other hand, it's hard. It can be really hard to build relationships, even when there's conflict, even when circumstances are tough. So yeah, sorry, Shyanne, I don't know if I'm restating what you said, but yeah, as you were talking, I was just thinking like, oh, it's all about the relationships.
It is, and it's true. It's all about the relationships, and it's also about self-awareness, knowing, what you're bringing into those situations, and as you look to build those relationships and your interpersonal skills with other people who come. Many of us doing this work, we're doing this work because we've been impacted in some way by the issue itself. And so, how do you come to it in a way that helps you, but also allows you to be a support to others, which you touched on earlier when you were talking about the different groups that you were working with. And because it's so important for us to be supportive of each other in this work. We have lives beyond the work, and have lives, going through this work. And yes, how do we be supportive of each other, but also take care of ourselves as well? And so I'm going to say thank you Thank you both, and Cheyenne, thank you for soldiering through the internet issues that you were experiencing. It shows, the fortitude that you have, and being present for what you commit yourself to. So I thank you so much for that. Thank you, Kirsten, for being here with us as well today. And when this goes live, we will put the information to connect with both of you in the campaigns that you're working with, but also in the community groups across Delaware that you're working with as well, so that people can be supportive of the organizing work. And if they have any additional questions for you, they can reach out to you as well. And again, I want to thank you also for this Change Agent Guidebook. I remember when I received it and I went through it. Will you be able to share information so people can get a copy of this? This is still being
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, I think
we have lots of copies at our office.
Okay, great. I'll put a link for that in as well. So people who are looking to do change work, who are interested in knowing what it's like to be in community, organizing and strategizing, this Change Agent Guidebook it's necessary. So thank you so much for that. And so we say for our viewers, if you would like what you see here, we ask you to subscribe, to like, and to share about this channel, as we will continue to have these conversations with people in community who are working to make change. So thank you, and we'll see you the next time.
Thank you so much.